Hi there! This is a basic guide to how to whisk a skillfully whisked bowl of matcha. We're going through the very basics. I know that many of you just like to put matcha into your yogurt, your matcha latte, your breakfast cereal, but matcha is still the best when you whisk it and have it in its purest form. Then you'll have most of its delicious aromas, delicious flavors. And so we are going to whisk a bowl of matcha as it is done traditionally as well. So first, what do you need? A caddy with the matcha tea powder in it, a tea whisk, a tea bowl, a tea scoop. That can be any kind. This one is made from wood. You have lots of tea scoops made from bamboo, or you could just use a teaspoon. You are going to need a cloth because we're also going to cleanse the bowl, and a source of hot water, delicious hot water. I got mine from the well at the shrine, so you might also want to select the water that you use. The basic setup is this, and what we are going to do is very simple, although I'm not just going to show you how to whisk only. I also want you to know that when we warm up the bowl and soften the tines of the tea whisk, etc., those small steps, those are also very important, and they contribute to a delicious flavor of your tea. So first, what I'm going to do is to put some water in the tea bowl. Having put some water in the tea bowl, we insert the tea whisk as well, because that allows, and just by whisking a little bit around in the tea bowl, we whisk the water around in the bowl starts to warm up, the whisks of the tines of the whisk also start to soften, and it will make them more bouncy, so that later when you whisk your tea, your whisk will not be as stiff, it will not be as easy to be damaged, and it will whisk a better tea as well. So, whisk softened. Next, warming up the tea bowl further. Just bring up the hot water to the rim of the bowl so that the entire surface of the inner side of the bowl is warmed up. And you might want to get your towel ready, because then having thrown the hot water out of the bowl, you just want to wipe the bowl. Make sure that there's no drip in. No drip, no moisture, no nothing. The bowl is absolutely dry, it's warm, and so this warming up the bowl has several purposes. One is, of course, to make the bowl warm so that the tea keeps warm in the bowl longer. You also want to cleanse it, so you use the hot water to cleanse the bowl before you use it. But the next thing is, when you insert the tea powder in the bowl, because the bowl is warm, it will already start to enhance the fragrance of that delicious tea powder that is put into your tea bowl. Next, what we want to do, get the tea caddy and get the tea powder that you need. These bamboo or wooden tea scoops, they are made to measure the amount of tea that you want to use. This is usually 1 scoop. Maybe it's a little bit much. People might prefer to do a little bit less, like this. Or if you want to have a good thick bowl of matcha, then you might use this. This is nothing compared to what you do for thick tea, because for thick tea you might take as much as this. You actually want to take it on the shaft of the scoop as well. So measuring for thin tea, we take 1, 2 whole front parts of the bowl, and you might want to do a little bit of an adjustment based on how much tea you would like to actually consume. What I always suggest is to open up the powder to the side a little bit, because this airs up the tea. You're allowed to break up some of the lumps with the sharp side of the bowl of the tea scoop. Then giving 2 taps inside the bowl will take off the tea that is sticking onto the tea scoop And then we're closing the lid of the tea caddy, of course. Alright. So in your bowl, the tea powder is now cut open to the side. You've cut up the lumps, and airing out the tea powder and spreading it out allows the tea powder to lift up when you insert the hot water. And that's a very important feature, because if the tea powder is sticking to the bottom of the bowl and you haven't dried out the water enough, then you will create lumps and it will be more difficult to create a delicious tea. And it will also be not as easy to see how much water you want to use. I'm going to insert the water and I'll explain what I do. I pour it in very gently, and that allows to lift the tea powder up. The tea powder that is in the bowl gets lifted up by the hot water. Then as it gets lifted up, the powder that starts to float up starts to sink as well. And as it starts to sink, the amount of dry powder on the surface of the water that you are still pouring will lessen. And as soon as there are almost no dry spots of matcha powder left, that is the signal for you to stop pouring, because that means that you now have had enough hot water for the balance of hot water and matcha. Good. Having done that, we have hot water with the matcha powder in there. We want to, of course, mix that up and stir it very briskly so that we get that beautiful, delicious foam. For that, we use our tea whisk. I always say, support the bowl from above so you can put pressure on it, and the bowl is not going to go anywhere when you're working very very heavily in the bowl with this tea whisk. There are different ways of holding your tea whisk. What I like to do, how I like to hold the tea whisk, is from the side. That's how we do it in the Inshu school. That's our tea ceremony school. So holding the tea whisk from the side allows us to work from the shoulder, make very large movements. Other schools like to work only from the wrist, like this. It depends on what you're used to. If you're not used to anything, then I will now teach you how to do it from the wrist using the whole arm. You use no tension, no power in the arm, and you make this sort of snapping motion with your whole arm. So, supporting the bowl from above, you set the tea whisk in, and first we are going to put the tips of the tines against the bottom of the bowl. And we're going to make a large motion, rather briskly. And as soon as you start doing this, you will see that the powder, the foam in the bowl is being created. Although the bubbles on the surface of the foam are rather large. Now, doing this, you want to go in one straight line from 6 o'clock in the bowl. If you look at it as a clock, it's from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock and back and forth, all the way, all the time. And then you might come to the side a little bit and move over the surface and go like this in a sort of zigzag motion, but it is also always in one straight line up and down. We're not making a rotating motion. And then you will see that on the surface of the tea, the foam will have created large bubbles as well. You want to work those large bubbles away. So what we did first was put the tips of the tines in against the bottom of the bowl. Now we are going to bring the tea whisk up a little bit so that we can move those tips of those tines of the tea whisk over the surface of the tea. And as you will see, this will cut up and remove a lot of those larger lumps and create a more minute foam. When we are finished, I write a Z over the surface, over the whole surface, then bring the tea whisk to the center and bring it straight up from there. The reason I want to do it is because that allows me to collect all the foam in the bowl, bring it to the center, leave it there in a nice heap of foam to make it look beautiful and also appealing and delicious. that is your bowl of tea. This is a very easy way to prepare a bowl of tea. I've included a few steps to do it mindfully and to enjoy making the bowl of tea as good as possible. You of course can just put powder in a cold bowl of tea, throw water in there, whisk it and drink it as well. You will have a matcha, but I like to at least observe a few steps that we can enjoy and also prepare ourselves mindfully for making that bowl of tea, because I think that that is a huge part of matcha drinking and, well, of course, the tea ceremony as well. Thank you for watching. Enjoy this bowl of tea.